All right, well, this is Keagan with BriteBee.com, where we help insurance agents get found online. Our co-host, Chris Paradiso, is not here with us, unfortunately, but I am at the Insurtech Connect Conference, ITC 2019, and I'm here with a awesome guy who's just actually sold.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about what you do.
All right. So I'm Jason Walker, and I just founded a new company called Agency Insurtech, which is bridging the gap between insurance technology companies and the agency distribution channel. Too often, I feel like agencies are oversold on solutions that don't actually drive business, whether that's growth or retention. And so I'm just trying to create a better conversation and introduce agents to the technologists that matter, like you, Keagan. And prior to that, co-founded and sold Smart Harbor to Insurance Technologies Corporation, which was a great experience. Digital marketing companies coming together, and I'm on to my next venture.
So you are not involved at all anymore in Smart Harbor, or still there?
I'm not.
Right
I'm
now?
helping the transition, and it's been a great experience. Yesterday, I spoke here at ITC on behalf of Insurance Technologies Corporation's new Turbo Rater for websites, and so I'm still helping on that side. But this is a totally new venture, and I'm moving on.
Awesome. Okay, so we got to brainstorm for a second.
All right, let's
since
do
this
it.
is the brain dump.
Let's do it.
Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is the insurance agents and getting the insurtechs into their space.
Yes.
You know, so sometimes that can be pretty cumbersome.
It is.
And confusing, and you don't know. I mean, I'm looking around. There are so many people here, and there's so many companies here. You know, you feel like an ant.
Right.
And for an agent to walk in here and to think, what solutions can I offer? Well, everyone's going to tell them, like, you have 1,000 different solutions.
Right.
I think there's like 700 something companies here,
Something
right?
like that.
And so let's brainstorm a little bit. Help me understand how we can start integrating InsurTech into our agency without completely, ruining our lives.
Good question. The way that I've been approaching it is looking at an A to Z experience between that agent and that customer, and then saying, where are you strong today, agency, and where could you start to close the gap if you had something that was technology enabled that would create a little bit more efficiency for the business. And so usually agencies will say, well, I do this really well, but it's these 3 to 4 things in that journey from that A to Z that I need to improve. Are there technologies out there? And so for me, I want to be able to then identify a couple technologies in each one of those categories and say, these are the ones that I've helped vet, and let's bring this together so that that A to Z process is more simplified, because you're right, it's overwhelming. There are just tons of technologies.
So what do you think are some of the main problems with an agency? I mean, I think we can all say there are a few problems that most agencies have.
Right.
So what would those be for you?
I would say if you were to start at the hierarchy, you're looking at growth and retention are the two pieces that they have to address. And then as you start to move down that pyramid, you think about things like the customer experience, the user interactions, the ability to remove paper as much as possible and make it a bit more efficient for that agency to push something through technology where they don't want to do it day to day. And that's okay to admit, so that they can move on to more of that advisory side to their customer, because this world in insurance is getting more complicated with products and on-demand policies. So we want to make sure that the agent can remain an advisor to their customer.
How important is it for the agent to be online and in the digital space?
Extremely important.
Help me understand this. Like, give us the FOMO, right? What are they missing out on if they are not in the digital space?
The majority of consumers, and I'm going to say something that most people will nod their heads and say yes. Majority of consumers want to quickly get access to information to make an immediate decision. We do that in every other industry. Think about retail and Amazon, the effect, et cetera, et cetera. We're always trying to quickly get information and make a decision. That does not stop once we get into insurance. Consumers still expect to have that same experience, and they're doing it online using mobile devices in order to be able to identify the agency that can fit what their needs are.
Yeah, so I saw a statistic a while back that was 25% of the opportunity is on your website type, in that general vicinity, and then 75% of the opportunity is outside of that, so other channels.
Right.
So help me brainstorm on what other channels could people be taking advantage of. What do you see the lowest hanging fruit?
So there are, I'll just talk about just in a broad general sense, there are some insurtechs right now that are starting to say, wouldn't it be nice if you were to know immediately what your existing customer in your book of business is doing? Maybe they're buying a new home or buying a new car or making a change and starting a new business. To be able to know immediately a trigger that says they're starting to perform an action, which is based on data that has nothing to do with insurance. It has more to do with consumer credit bureau information or lifestyle event changes. So to be able to get that information and put it in the hands of an agent lets them know all of those trigger points outside of just looking for insurance, but where insurance needs to be introduced.
So a lot of people would say that is completely intrusive, it's invasive, and I would say, there's some times where it could be used that way.
Yep.
Definitely. There's times that it could be used. But people are doing it every single day. And I know people are like, well, Keagan, just because everyone else is doing it, you're a millennial, but just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you have to do it. I get that, but people are allowing data to be used in a very different way now.
Right.
And we do have to take advantage of that as much as we feel comfortable with
Right.
it, and we can do it in an ethical way.
That's right.
Absolutely ethical way. And then we also have to understand that the carriers are already using this data
and that's,
to understand.
I think that's the critical point, is that agencies deserve the same access to information that carriers or even some of those insurtechs that are going direct to the consumer and trying to cut the agent out. Agents are the ones who control a lot of that production, a lot of that retention, so give them the same advantages, and that's what we're doing.
Yep. And
that's what we're talking about.
That's one thing that BriteBee is really striving to, and we're not completely there yet. I mean, it's definitely a long game approach, but one of the things, our vision is to be able to give the agent the opportunity to quote and bind, and to have the same opportunity when people find them online, they can actually get the same APIs that the carriers are offering to other big companies, right? And have that same opportunity, right?
Yes, and that's critical. And so what you're doing and where you're heading from a visionary perspective is smart and the right thing to do on behalf of the insurance agency distribution channel.
That's awesome. All right, well, that's a brain dump. Thanks, man.
All right, appreciate it.